to another farming simulator video. And like all of the best farming simulator videos, this one is happening in PowerPoint. And we're going to run through some of the maths to do with the major service mod. So I'm going to be making use of the testing that I did for my almost complete guide to repair and damage. If I've remembered, the link for that is below. I did a whole load of fairly extensive testing on things that affect repair, how much damage you take for different things, and I've used that spreadsheet to collate these numbers. And I'm going to consider a few different examples of doing work, how much damage you would take doing that work, and what the repair costs would be. And just as a reminder, conducting a major service, which costs you 5% of the purchase price of the vehicle, resets repair costs or damage taken really back to the same as the vehicle being new. So a few other reminders. Vehicles with more hours take damage more quickly, and there's the graph on the top right up here just tries to explain that. This is covered in more detail in that video that I mentioned, but basically as you go from 0 operating hours up to 50 operating hours, you will accumulate damage 4 times faster. And that's important when we talk about why you might want to do a major service on vehicles, because taking damage 4 times faster is bad. The next thing to remember is that the same percentage of damage costs the same to repair regardless of hours, and that's reflected in this table here. So if you've got 30% damage, it doesn't matter if the tractor's got 1 hour or 500 hours, it costs the same. The different thing is that you will get that 30% damage much faster in a tractor that's got more hours. And the other thing that you can maybe notice from this is that the cost per percentage of damage gets higher the more damage you take. So it's more expensive to repair 50% damage than it is to repair 5 lots of 10% damage, for example. And then the last one, you take the same amount of damage per minute no matter how long you work, and that's this last graph down here. I did some testing over an hour of doing work and logging the damage that the vehicle had over time, and that's pretty much consistent as you do the job. So yep, those are been how I've the kind of basics that I've used to construct these examples. So let's consider 2 tractors doing an hour's work. To start off with, the conditions of the 2 tractors are going to be consistent through. So the first tractor has an hour's of operating life on it, and the second one has 50 hours. These tractors, it was a Valtra G series that I used, cost £100,000. So that makes some of the percentage calculations easier for the repair costs to compare versus the major service, which, as a reminder, costs 5%, or in our case, £5,000. So to do 10 minutes work with a vehicle with 1 hour on it, you take 0.8% damage. Now, if you watched my video on the major service mod, you'll see that was what we took. And to do 10 minutes work with a vehicle or equipment or anything with 50 hours, you take 3.2%. And again, that was what I shoot in the video on the major service mod. So if you scale that up for an hour's work, that becomes 4.8% or 19.2%. So quite a big difference in the amount of damage you take for that same hour's work. And then in terms of repair cost for the new vehicle, 94%, not really very much, only 0.9% of the vehicle cost, or £720 or dollars or euros, depending on the currency you're playing in, for the vehicle with 50 hours, but only 0.7%. So compared to the 5%, you may be thinking, do I really need to bother doing a major service? But that's for one job for 1 hour. So if we then look at maybe, if you did that 5 times, so you log in a few times, you play, you repair at the end of your play session or before the beginning of the next one, then with your tractor that's got only 1 hour on or has had a major service, then you're only looking at £470 worth of repairs, or 0.47% if you've got a more expensive piece of kit. I'm going to talk in terms of both, but the percentage is the really interesting one, I guess. Or for your piece of kit with 50 hours on it, we're now up to £3,595 or 3.6%. So we're getting quite close now to the 5% of a major service, and that's just in a few hours worth of work. So the actual number where you start to break even cross is sort of 7 to 8 hours worth of jobs, assuming you repair every hour. You are then, it's cheaper to have done the major service and do the work. So yep, it's definitely something that you want to think about doing. What if you're not quite so diligent with your repairs? You're doing a long job, you just want to get the job done. So you do a couple of hours worth of work. As I said, the damage per chunk of time is still the same, and I have data for 10 minutes, so that's the basis that we're using. So for 2 hours worth of work, it goes up to 9.6% and 38.4% for the two vehicles. And because, as I said, repair costs, you take more damage, it costs more for more damage to repair. So we're now looking at £267 or 0.27% for the newer vehicle, or £2,034 or 2% for the vehicle with a lot of hours on it. And now maybe you're starting to see the benefit of spending 5% on a major service, because this is for one repair bill for one job that took you 2 hours, which, depending on how you play, is maybe not that much. So let's think about if you did 3 2-hour play sessions and then you repaired at the beginning or end of each of those your new piece of kit or your piece of kit that's had a major service. We're looking at £800 or 0.8% of the value of the vehicle. Remember, our vehicle cost £100,000, so 0.8% versus 6,100 or 6.1% of the value of your vehicle. So suddenly it would have been cheaper to do a major service and then do your 3 play sessions and repair than just keep repairing. That's where this mod starts to kick in. So, and then lastly, let's consider the player that's maybe a bit like me sometimes. And either you play for a really long time, you're doing a really long job, or you just don't remember to repair, and you end up accumulating about 4 hours worth of playtime without repairing. If you've got a new piece of kit, or it's had a major service, you're only looking at 20% damage. The repair bar doesn't look that bad. It's only going to cost you £720 to repair, or 0.72% of the value of the vehicle. If that tractor's old, it's got 50 hours on it, it's your favorite tractor, you're looking at 76.8% on the damage bar. And yes, I do run my vehicles to be in this state sometimes. And now you're looking at a repair bill of £5,754 or 5.7% of the value of the vehicle. So literally more than it would have cost if you'd done a major service, repaired and then played. Your repair bill would be cheaper. So yeah, I guess I will re-mention that if you've got this damage, so you've got your 76% damage and you do a major service, it's not going to reduce this repair bill. It only affects the rate that you take damage going forward. If you've already got the damage, you need to pay to repair it. So what in this situation, what you would have needed to have done is, I'm assuming you're starting with a repaired vehicle. You do your major service, you do your really long job, and you end up with a nice cheap repair bill at the end. And then you can keep going because you've got, 40 or 50 odd hours of slowly increasing repair bills, but not this high. So yeah, to summarize, will doing a major service at 50 hours save you from repair costs? Yeah, it will. Even if you're super diligent with your repairs, repairing, every hour or whatever, within 7 or 8 hours worth of work, you're going to have recovered the cost of doing the major service, and you're going to be, saving money on your repair bills. So definitely worth doing. Obviously, it's for older kit or kit you've brought used. Is 5% too much? Had a comment on the last video. 5% was too much. I don't think so. you've just seen from my last example, you can easily in one long play session with an old vehicle get a repair bill that's more than 5%. So having a major service cost that's 5%, I think is reasonable. As I said, I actually debated when I was testing this whether it should be more, but then I took in a combine to service and almost cried at how much that 5% was. But equally, the repair bills that I was getting for that combine were huge, and also making me weep slightly. So yeah, I think 5% is quite reasonable. And I think this is a really cool way of keeping kit on the farm that you like and basically not having to stop using it. This other thing, don't forget, it's not just for tractors and combines and things, it's for any piece of kit that you can repair. So, if you've got that mower or baler that you've had for ages or you've brought used, you can do it with that as well. And because it's percentage based, it's going to work out and save you money in the long run. So yeah, hopefully this was somewhat helpful in explaining some of the maths. And the other question I had, and I've not really looked at that, was about the resale value. And obviously, if you're going to be keeping your vehicle for a lot longer now because you can give it a service, you are going to affect the resale value. If you keep the thing until it's got 100 or 150 hours on it, it's going to be worth a lot less. But does that matter? Because you can keep giving it a new lease of life, and yeah, you can keep it forever essentially. And the last one actually was around the fact that it's based on the purchase price of the vehicle. And, you can gain that slightly. You can do that with repair costs anyway. If you want to make your repairs cheaper, when you buy something, buy it without all the options and then go back in, add whatever options you want, because the game only tracks purchase price. And so therefore that's the only thing it can be based on. So yeah, and that's how repairs work. It works off of the purchase price of the vehicle. So if you buy a vehicle stock and then go in and add an engine option which adds 200 grand or whatever, that's not reflected in the repair price, and it can't be because the game engine doesn't know what the options cost. And so yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling now. So if you enjoyed this video, click the like button. If you've got any more questions, stick them below. I'll try and answer them. But hopefully this kind of explains how some of the maths work and why I think it's sensible. And yeah, I'll see you next time.